George, thanks for joining us.
Yes.
So George, the young man who met this young girl and decided to get married, is probably a different George from the George that we're talking to today.
Yes, definitely.
How would you describe that George?
Oh, as I said, chaotic, but focused, energetic, going, full of belief, faith, has taken a few bullets somewhere here and there, but generally full of life. I would say I used to, so I was in the middle of, I was in writing software. So at the time, one or too many of us were doing that. And there was part of that identity that came from being able to write very interesting.
You're the elites.
Who are the elite writers?
Computer scientists.
It was not even computing. At the time, very few guys could write web platforms. And we would write this massive systems through an organization we used to work in. And so I became pretty good at it, and that got me a lot of elbow room. So there was that identity around that. But then there was also a huge leaning to the social identity. I think at the time, while I would identify with being a young, progressive, I was a Rotarian, I was a Toastmaster. By the age of 25, I was doing business outside the country. So I was really a go-getter. Not too much discipline. Not too much discipline at the
Those
time.
are the ones we call upwardly mobile.
Upwardly mobile, right? But it's just fancy way to say that. Things keep falling on your lap, and people let you get away with a lot. But then also in terms of identity, I was really, I spent a lot of energy trying to create an identity among the boys. And the boys, for some reason, became something very important to me. The boys being men around
Your
me.
age mates.
Age mates,
Yeah.
right? And in your 20s, how you form recognition in your age mates is either partying or girls. They're not as...
It's those two.
It's those two.
Right.
It's not your career. It's more those two. So that was a huge source of identity. Had a lot of guy friends, bit all over me, which kept pulling me back from this very thing that I was very good at. So it was a huge struggle.
So there's a conflict between George, the software developer, and George, the social guy.
Yes, because you're good at what you do, but then your peers are not. So you always have to dumb down and come and be among the Watus, and then on Monday flip a switch and go become this other crazy software developer. And one of the two has to fail, or one of them has to take a hit. And because at the time I was socially validating through this, and it's not one guy. It's not, I can tell you, it's this bunch of boys. It's whoever is in the room, right? It's whoever is in the room. So externally validating. And so it kept putting me in trouble with whoever was my employer, whoever I was in a contract with, whoever was in, whatever it was. It was, but then because I was really good at it, I kept getting away with it. Either I would lose a contract, get another one, lose a job, get another one, whatever it was. So lived that. It's really the ultimate of fakeness.
And then they say that when you get married, the woman sort of,
shuts
all that down,
flicks a switch. Actually, I can actually attest that the reason I even started dating Janet was because first, she was not aware of that social validation life, and two, she was not interested and she could not stand for it. So for me, it was almost like a chance to have a new set of validation. And for her, she was like, okay, you're this guy who's very progressive in software development. You seem to have a very smart mind. You're a speaker. You're all these other things. And she would encourage me on the Toastmasters thing. So immediately I started dating Janet, I dropped all my friends. Literally all.
And picked new friends.
Said flat out and moved from where I lived into a very far place up near Karen. In a farm, like I can escape in a farm. I remember the horrendous paint on the walls. Janet used to come there and see me and say, man, where the hell do you live? So it was almost like a rebirth. And the rebirth is just stopping what I was identifying with, and then became very serious with my career, move, and now we got married. And that's why that thing...
the switch.
So what I really, really liked out about her as a friend was, she told me, what are you doing with this social validation? What are these things? You can't be two people.
But do you really switch from social validation to another validation, or is it
Transfer.
that it's just transfer?
So I transferred to her.
So you're transferring the validation.
No,
but you still, as you're now
still
relating,
seeking.
as you're relating with this new woman,
Yes.
as a man,
Yes.
Who do you view yourself as? Is it the provider? Is it the knight in shining armor? Is it this guy that has got to be smart? Because she has acknowledged that
She
I'm
has
smart.
acknowledged you're smart.
She has acknowledged that I'm a good speaker. She
Yes.
has acknowledged that I'm socially
things.
progressive. So you've got to leave.
So you have to leave. So you take the card. So now you've transferred validation to her. So you transfer validation to her. Now you pick the two things she has said, and then you layer them with anything that you, in the same realm.
Added value.
Added value.
Okay.
So now it becomes, now get very aggressive into the business part, the software development part, get into business. Actually, we ended up sharing an office, getting to start doing paid speaking, do a little team building, you just layering. But your validation point is still outside you.
It's still somebody else.
It's still somebody else. And it doesn't matter whether she's your wife. It's still her and how she sees you and how she's also modeling what she expects of you from someone who was, of course, her father, because that's the primary man in her life. And now, so me, I'm here saying, I'm ticking the boxes. I'm ticking. And we're very good friends. And so it works for her. And then we get married. And I mean, as the story is known, her dad passed a week or two after we got married. And that shook her world. But when she shakes her world, now I don't know. So I know how to be the progressive, hardworking, speaking, charming fella, but I don't know how to be this now man.
You don't know how to be the support.
Yes, but then because I'm basing on nothing internally, what could I do? Nothing. Okay. So I stopped understanding her.
So what was the shock? What are you going through at that point? When she's lost her dad and she's obviously going through the grieving and all.
Yes.
And she's projecting the loss.
Yeah.
What was your translation of that projection?
Rejection.
What was she saying?
No,
you are feeling like...
So if you're my source of validation and suddenly you're not giving the validation for whatever reason, because and it's for a primary reason, like you've lost your pops and you can't, you don't have the time to keep cheering on this husband of yours. So you're not, so it looks like rejection. So now you're the one who needs. And me, I'm like, hey, what are you on about? I'm still ticking the boxes. Hey.
What's your problem?
And that's where the mayhem starts. And that's the real mayhem. Because you've gone in without telling somebody, laid a lot on them and said, my self-identity will come from your approval. So that's what I've done. And so we had a very, 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 very tough first year. I don't even know how we passed through that first year. Because...
Give me some examples of what kind of things that were.
Oh, like...
Practical things.
You come home and she won't talk to you. For no reason. Why? You come home, you come usually with your two certificates.
Yeah.
Hey, look at me. I won. Shut. Silence. Won't recognize, won't engage. I mean, you're a new couple, so there are issues of spending time together, intimacy, all these other things. They're not happening. So you're confused. We were marrying to go to, what do you call it? So usually when you marry, when you're in your 20s, I mean, I got married at the late 20s. When you're in your 20s, your view of marriage is exactly what Disney portrays. That happily ever after thing. You move into a house, you're just smiling, kissing the whole day and making babies and living happily ever after. That's literally how you view marriage in your 20s. So you're like, hey, where is it?
So did you now seek to jump back into some sort of validation? Because now here you are, this validation is no longer coming.
So you go back.
So you go back to look
Number one, those two boys go. who are there waiting for you.
All this, you're seeking your identity.
It's all seeking identity.
You're seeking to
Yes.
to say that this is George.
This is George, but who is George? I've not sat down and had a conversation with myself, like, who is George? And finally, you look very put together. Because from the outside, how are people judging whether you're put together? You look at, does he have a stable job? Is he a cultured, well-spoken human being?
Yeah. Does he dress well?
Is he dressed well? Does he live in a nice address?
Yeah.
Does he have a family?
Yeah.
Does he have friends of repute? Who has his circle? So outside, it looks beautiful. Inside, you're clawing for something to hold on to. For a shell. Because because it's the same thing you said when you were starting off the show, and you said, remove all these things. Who are you? And one thing I've learned, not to jump the gun, but that, like, because those things were not anything, they had to go. But they wouldn't go voluntarily by you. It's God, nature, providence. We'll take it away so that you learn.
What happened? How did you get to a point where
you start
those
reflecting?
things left?
Because first thing, of course, the marriage when it was in deep trouble. Because we are speaking different languages. Not because we don't like each other or anything, but because she's looking for a man to stand up and take charge. I'm looking for a woman to cheer me on. Put those two in the same room. What are you
without telling each other?
No one is saying these words.
That this is what I'm looking for.
Now I know what we're doing. But at the time, you're like, everyone is slighted. Everyone is like, where's the man to carry me and be strong during these dark days of mine when I've lost my pops? And I still have to, and because at the time she was doing a newsreader job, you have to maintain a facade. So you're the public figure, smiling face, put your hair together, stay together. But when you come home, you're broken. And then there's no man in the house. There's like a boy here still holding his certificates. Look at me. I bought a new car. He wants your validation. Hey, he wants your claps. I've worked hard. So even you go ahead, you buy her a car.
What happened? How did that change? What was it that triggered this reflection? Was it another event? Was it somebody you spoke to?
Yes. What happened was we went, and you know, it gets. So basically, both of you are trying and saying, "Look, we're in a young new marriage. We need to try this. We need to work on it." But what you're doing is that now you're acting. Now you are both on stage. So you both go back and say, "Okay, you know what? For the peace of the home,
for showbiz,
even internal showbiz inside the house, you're playing the roles."
Yeah.
But it's very cold. It's a very cold space. And not because somebody doesn't love you, but because somebody's seeking something and you're seeking something and you're speaking different language. So I go to a place and I met this lady. And the day I met her, she had just walked out of her marriage. And she started telling me the story. It's around 11 in the morning. And she starts telling me the story up until 6 in the night. And told me, if you knew what you have, you would not be here sitting, listening to stories like mine. And it just, because first she told me, she asked me these things, who are you? And she told me, you're this wonderful soul, you're kind, you're this, those are the things. She told me, list your attributes. What are you, how do you describe yourself? You can't describe yourself, I'm George of the red shirt and the white trouser. That's not a description. Who are you? And I really went into interrogation of myself. And then she introduced me to a couple of videos, and I started watching those. And I invited Janet, come and watch. Of course, she dismissed me. And the more I started, I realized that I'd always delegated my self-identity. And I'd never gone into a journey. And that's why a lot of my business contracts were always based on, will the other person be happy?
Yeah.
Or will my wife be happy? And there was a lot of, so when you do business or you do friendship or you do something, you're more concerned, is the other person happy? So it's never about you. So it's almost, and you go claim you're an empath. It's not empath, you just...
But also, George, I mean, someone will look at it and say, that says that you are selfless.
You know,
which is a key attribute. When you sit down
even
there,
Jesus looked out for himself. You know?
The attribute is I'm selfless. I'm always willing to give. and I'm looking out for the other person's well-being and happiness.
Now that I know better, for you to be selfless, you must have something inside to give. You can't give what you don't have. So, for example, I can't make you happy if I'm unhappy. And that's the selfless that I was doing. So I focus on, is Eric happy, as opposed to, am I happy enough to make
Eric happy?
For the cheer to
spread?
To spread the cheer, not go create cheer in the other person. Yeah. It's spread the cheer. So the selflessness must, inside, you must really be content with you, your pluses and minuses, and know what you're good and bad at, and really, really fall in love with yourself before you can even go into the business of helping others, falling in love with others, being a husband, being a friend. And that is what I was doing.
So take us back.
Yeah.
You've watched the videos.
Yeah.
You've started having this, inward conversation.
Self-reflection.
And then how did that change?
Studied a lot of astronomy, very interesting, about stars.
About stars and all.
Stars and Carl Sagan and the pale blue dot. Very interesting things, things that, so the one thing that lady told me was like, and I keep saying this, so there's something called Voyager 2. So it's like a thing, it's not big, I think it should be about the height of this lamp. It was sent into space. And every year or so, it sends back photos.
Yep.
And so they took the photos and formed them into a video. And you start seeing the Earth is really a very pale blue dot suspended in a moat of dust. It does not look as beautiful as it looks. So it's really, really a significant blob in the bigger picture of the universe. And so he goes to say that on that pale blue dot, there's a small rock in a corner of it. And on that small rock, there's a small area. In that small area, there are a couple of people. In all people, there's you. Spinning through it in a very, very short existence of that pale blue dot. And he says that then you are the most insignificant things in terms of the universe. But also, your time to you becomes so significant because so it's like an ant. So if an ant walked around thinking it's nothing, it would not go anywhere. But it wakes up every day and goes and builds the anthill and forms the line. And then you start to realize you're not as important as you think you are, but you're extremely important.
You're also very, very important.
Important to you. So, and I went into that reflection and started saying, so what makes me important to me? And you self-study and you start to see what are my good things. You're a kind man, you're a friendly guy, you love people, you're good at your skill, extremely good at software, you're a good business person, you have a lot of charitable work, you have a wonderful wife, you have a wonderful family, I have siblings who support me. And then you count and you're like, this list is long, but nothing here that I own. So then you start to enjoy. And then and I can tell you, it was weird that now that transformation, when I took it to Janet and she told me, you've changed, we had the best year of our marriage. And on that
how did it manifest? I mean, there's the George who's waking up and she's feeling frustrated because she can't really connect.
Yeah, she's not connecting.
When she started connecting, what is it that you were doing?
You stop trying to fix her because she's not broken. I was trying to fix her because I was saying the fact that you're not appreciating this, basically the version that I married is not what I'm getting. Then we need to fix you. You're broken. So I start saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do this. Why are you doing this? So basically you're judging. So I stopped fixing her because I realized she's not broken, she's just different. And it's not my work to make her happy. It is her own decision. It is my work to be happy, and happy a source of good vibes. So that's what I did. I'm a happy guy. Oh, that's what's going on with you. Supportive as ever. Now we started making the very same things that we used to do when we were starting to date. Take a short trip, take a walk. Small things. Everyone thinks it's the big things. Before, I would really try. I remember one day, I went and bought her a car as a surprise. And I came home. And she was like, come outside, I show you. I showed her the car. She said, oh my gosh, this is so nice. And she drove off to Westlands. And on the hapo yake the car ran out of fuel. He calls me screaming, "Idiot! And you put me in a car you knew you had no fuel." I'm like, "Hey, I'm just bought you a car." So it's just to show the way we at that early stage, that George thought you love through trinkets and through giving attention and trying to make someone happy. And then the second George became, you just be happy.
Yeah. Am I happy?
Are you happy? Yes.
If I'm happy, then
it will spread.
I can spread the
It's
cheer.
infectious.
Through the years then, even going through her sickness, her unfortunate passing, did this George change?
Oh yes, you change. I think it's when you're in the middle of it, you don't know you're changing. It's when you look at it from outside and much later, is when you see the changes. A lot of changes went through. There were a lot of, I think when you're younger, you think you can walk on water. I don't know how better to say. Right now, the older you get, you realize it's not about you.
The world is your oyster.
We could do anything. We'd say, go where? Let's dash to Nigeria. We dash to Nigeria, we start a business, But right now, it's not just about you. And you become more conscious and you learn to, and it's something, unfortunately, when our things started, that's when she got sick. But the George at the beginning was a maverick, and the George, the next one, now became a consultative person, but just with her. And I would tell her, this is what I'm thinking we do, let's do this, and I cheer on, and we do this, and we went through a very fantastic journey, fighting her body, for lack of better words. And really became very close. Really became very close. There's still a lot of things we never addressed. I wish we had addressed, because, and I tell all men, you're a potential widow. If you are married, you're a potential widow. Yeah. Stop.
Every waking day.
Yeah. In fact, for you to be a widow is a snap. People are driving around, people are walking, all manner of, COVID is here, all manner of crazy things. And if you talk to your wife like you're a potential widower, then you'll understand. It's you yourself who will know. It is the things that annoy you about them that you'll miss. If your wife used to scream because you leave socks on the floor, that is what you'll miss. So while she's screaming right now, just know these are the little nuances. These are the little irritants. These are the things. This is the things that make life. This is what makes. This is the thing. This is what marriage is. Marriage is not what you see in the photos, what you see in Instagram. It's everything in between, the arguments, how you two argue, how you two make up, how you two get to a point where your wife starts to say, that's him. Like your wife can predict your reactions to certain things. It means somebody who is not your blood relative has taken time to understand you. It's a huge privilege.
But when you're talking about identity, George,
yes,
the identity that a man seeks, and just like you've said, you do not want validation now from somebody else, from your peers, from your pals, from your family, from your wife.
Yes.
It is just knowing that you're enough.
Yes.
How do you get to that point where you know that you know you're enough? If you remove all these things, if you remove me, if I lost my job today, if I lost my wife today, if I lost
the cars, your house, everything,
I'm still able to hold together.
It comes from, I would let me just say from me, grace.
Who's Grace?
Grace, the small G.
Okay.
Grace is, I've said this on our platform, grace is the best gift a man can give to himself. This is where I see it. None of us here, not the cameraman, not you, left the house in the morning to go be bad people. So no one wakes up saying, today I'm going to be a terrible man. I'm going to be a terrible husband. I'm going to be a terrible businessman. I'm going to be a terrible employee. I'm going to be a terrible friend. I'm going to be a terrible son. I'm going to be a terrible father. No one. Most people have the decency, they wake up saying, I'm going to do good. Yeah. Somewhere along the line, the train derails in the day. Grace is that part that looks at the intention, not the action, in yourself. And I'm not saying go around just messing up and saying, oh, I forgive myself. It's almost just saying, I give myself grace that while the intention and the actions were right, the result was not. I forgive myself to start again tomorrow. That is it. And that is all I've done. So I don't dwell. I usually, the way I look at things is I ask, what was my role in the derailment? All right. Whether it was 0.001, tomorrow when I start again, I'll fix that. If you do that, then what you're building is a very strong inner sense. It's you're fixing. Because, like I said, no one is broken. You know, we walk around, everyone is broken in your eyes. So you say pink trousers. Let's just give a silly statement. So you say, I would never wear pink trousers. And you see a man with pink trousers, and you go and start to sit with him and say, why do you wear pink trousers? And pink trousers could be anything. Why do you live here? Why do you date this? Why do you do this? And you spend a lot of energy trying to fix other men. Yet, all you need to be doing is looking, where am I to 0.01% that I could be fixing? And if you do that, that is where that whole strength, it looks like strength and resilience. It's just serial forgiveness of self. Serial, every day. And even in your lowest moment, just look, was there something I did right in that whole mess?
So focus on the positives.
There's always a positive way to see it. Something very terrible we have grown to do as men is men now discuss other men's affairs. It's terrible.
Why?
Because we are blocking men from validating. So, for example, let's say Eric has a bad issue at home, lands tomorrow at the office, throws a tantrum in the office, and is fired.
Yeah.
No one is going to go and discuss what Eric has been in media for 20 years. He's never done this. What was the underlying issue? Didn't we see it coming? Men don't talk about how to help a man rebuild. This story of your tantrum will trend on every social media. It will be a scandal.
Yeah.
So what we have become is that we have become men who bring other men down. Not even just bring other men down, who talk about other men's issues. So for example, if you came to me and said, man, George, I've not made rent, I've not made school fees, I'm really in a tough place, I'm not even telling you to help me, I'm just telling you I'm in a mess. That, the minute you're hanging up that phone, do you know Eric? Eric amechomeka. That's the men we become. So nothing is sacred that a man will not retell. And that is why the biggest issue we have right now is that men have no self-identity because you're really protecting something that
you're trying to protect an image.
It's an image which doesn't exist.
You don't want to
you don't want to be part of this. You don't want to share this. So, for example, I can't tell you, hey, man, I'm hearing there's a retrenchment going on. I'm really horrified. It could be coming to me. No, everyone, if you walk around to the pub, there's not a single man in problems. In the pub, everyone is happy. He has got promoted. New bouncing baby, everyone. But yet, Corona has told us, if Corona has not exposed anything, everyone is standing on one leg, if any leg at all. But the men are the ones bringing each other down because, say, look at him, he's only standing on one leg. Oh, we thought you had made it. Oh, look at you, you thought you'd figure. We are the ones, and it's just gossip. That's nothing else. So if as a man you could just, the way you know how painful it is to try and get this self-identity I'm talking about. You know that grace, when you're trying to forgive yourself, it's very hard to be forgiving myself when I'm trending. You know what I mean? Or my stories are in my circle if I'm not a public persona. So for example, like in 2019, just to jump, my business collapsed and my kids were sent home from school. I don't hide that fact. Everyone I met, hey, my children are at home. I mean, they're not at home because I was lazy. They're not at home because I was a bad father. They're not at home because I don't want them to go to school.
It's because life happened.
I didn't have fees. You don't pay fees, children go home. And that owning of that gave me such strength that I quickly got them back to school.
So today,
yes,
who's George Ikua? George
is a man full of grace. The grace. George is a man. Now I've left the grace day, and this is it's good you asked this question. So maybe I'll lay it with what was before. So I talked about this thing of seeking validation with everyone. And I have moved to a place where I say, there's a man I want to be, which is molded on multiple people, some even movie characters. So there's a man I want to be. And I keep every day validating myself that one day I'll be like him. So that's why. So every day I try make decisions the way he would make decisions.
What would man X do?
What would man X do? And man X is not a particular character. It's different personas merged into one. It's who I have decided to admire and be that kind of person.
Emulate.
So and this, so the main issues which I would talk about is we talked about relationships. So we're going to talk about relationships. It is said there's a girl and a woman in everyone, and there's a boy and a man in everyone. You have a boy in you, you have a man in you. There's a girl in you, and your wife and your woman the same. So as a man, it is your work to pull out the woman. But if you feed the girl will come. So a girl, I'm going to put about this. So a girl generally deserves everything and appreciates nothing. So it's like it's her right. I was born pretty, everyone should love me.
Entitled.
I'm entitled, right? So that's a girl. It's my daughter. My daughter thinks, why are you guys not buying me cakes and goodies? It's a girl. So a woman appreciates everything she gets and nurtures it into something more. So it's you who you're feeding. So if your partner comes as a girl, if you react to that girl, that's it. The girl grows. But if you play like a man, like I have a small daughter. I mean, you've seen her running around here. So she comes here, she wants sugar. I say no. She screams, throws a tantrum, rolls on the floor. If I join her down there, telling her, where are you rolling? Who is the adult here? Do you get it? Same way, there's a boy. The boy usually validates himself through things and others. So what he does is that he'll go home and start pontificating how he's the one who provided. Look at him. He's the big guy. Look at him. Do you know how many women love him? Do you know how big he's respected in the office? That's a boy talking.
Why aren't you noticing?
Why aren't you noticing? That's a boy. A boy, you remember when we were in primary school, when a boy would buy a watch, there's no one in the school who would not see that watch. Yep. That's the boy talking. So if your man is busy talking about, look at how hard he worked, that's a boy crying out for recognition. Look, I worked so hard. I was there for you. I paid rent last week. That's a boy. Don't feed that child. Unfortunately, the way the world is designed, I don't think a woman will make a man out of that boy. Most of them will just switch off and say, man, this is a child. Forget it. Let's move. Let's leave you. And then he'll say, but I worked so hard. That's the boy still talking. But if a man is self-validated and seeking to be higher power, higher purpose, higher self, a better version of self every day, then the things that he does or he does not that come to him don't define him. So, for example, if I lose my job or my company, I tell the family, hey, guys, things have knocked, so let's do this. Let's move to a cheaper house. Yeah. We regroup. You guys move to cheaper schools. We will be back. Because
and you meet your friends and you tell them.
Yeah. You don't hide. Like I told you, kids were home from school. It does not define me. You know, us men think people sit around and think about us. I can tell you, Eric, I've known you for many years. But until I see you, I don't think about you. So unless I see you, that's the minute.
That's the moment you're going to think,
there's Eric. Then either I remember a good story, a bad story, I draw, whatever. Then you move away from my vision, eyes. I stop, you go away. Now, if you understand that, then imagine you, Eric, living a life trying to make sure that George thinks you've made it. Do you know how silly it is? Because we don't think about each other. Actually, until I see you, what am I doing thinking about? People assume people think about you. People generally are caught up in their own problems.
People are living their lives.
People are living their life. No one thinking about you. No one. And if men could just get to that part and realize no one cares as much as you think they care. Actually, no one cares. No one cares if you sit in a restaurant and you came by matatu, the next guy came by Uber, the next guy came in a nice Toyota, the next guy came in a Mercedes, the next guy came with a chopper, no one cares. You enter Java, everyone is just eating. They have eggs, and they go. And if you get that into your head, then it doesn't matter all the seasons, because they will come. There will be seasons of bounty, there will be seasons of scarcity. They'll come. And if you do that, give yourself some grace, it's a lot of fun.
So identity, you've used the word grace, you've used the word self-validation.
Yes.
You've used the word
seeking to a better version of me.
Seeking a higher version.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Those three are what, according to George Ikua, are identity.
That is my gospel as we speak. And that is, it's a journey I'm on, and this is where I've reached right now. And that's what I would say is an identity for me. I'm very, the other things that I've learned that can tweak the system of nature, humanity, society, whatever. One is just kindness. You know, kindness is such a magic bullet. It's just an equalizer. So as I said,
good.
Just be good.
Be a good human being.
Yeah. You know, if you just, let me show you kindness. Kindness, people think kindness is, because we become monetized, you think it's giving. No.
Kindness is contributing in every WhatsApp.
Do this, that's not kindness. Let me show you. If you call somebody without anything to say, that's kindness. If you walk in the office and you say hello to everyone, that's kindness. If you listen to somebody who you know is saying utter rubbish, and you listen and you don't correct them, that's kindness. Kindness is understanding that I don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, but the fact that it's comfortable to you, I will be there for you to do it. And it's such a freeing world, because you don't, I say you sit with your back to the door because you know no one is coming to stab you. Because kindness works like a pipe. If I'm kind to you, Eric, you go, be kind. By the time it's coming back, it's so big. And I'll just say, you won't even know where it's coming from. And I saw it when we were fighting Janet's sickness. It's a thing that helped us. Just being kind to people, listening, having a conversation, cheering them on. Don't put anyone down. Don't put anyone down. You don't know their shoes. That is the ultimate kindness. I don't know your shoes. I'm not going to pretend I know your shoes. Whatever it is that I am, I'm going to listen. Even just not judging you is kindness.
But I'll acknowledge that you are wearing your shoes.
That's it. Good for you. Good for you. You know, you do. And you know, mind your own. You know, this is all the tricks. Just mind your own business, man. This is a udaku that has become us men. You know, I keep saying we're such pink men. We sit, whether to have a drink. The first thing is, hey, did you hear? Wait, why did you hear? Why can't I just say, hey, this week has been tough. I got, right now in Nairobi, you can't tell people you won anything, because everyone thinks you're showing off. So they want to hear all the bad. Oh, you lost. Things, people will come and say, my wife has been terrible. Everyone says, even mine. I mean, if you sit in a pub, you'd think all women in Nairobi are just demons. Everyone is like, oh, wangu mbaya, naenda kelele. But when you go to the house, the woman is taking care of the babies, taking care of the man, running her own career. I'm not saying they're all the crazy ones. The crazy ones are out there. But we need to change how we talk, man. I think you can't go through this journey of self-validation if you're still out there
trying to invalidate somebody
else.
To
invalidate others. And you have so far to go to fix yourself. Where are you even getting time to fix people? I don't get it.
Makes a lot of sense. George Ikua,
yes.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
It's all about identity. What's your identity? Decide for yourself. This is Mancave.